Welcome, people of the internet and the Thomas fandom. Fantastic Mr. S here with you once again with a third episode on Thoughts on Thomas. Now, I've actually been wanting to do this episode for a long time. In fact, I've been wanting to do this since the second episode at least. But then Google Hangouts on Air, where I did my first two Thoughts on Thomas podcasts, went away, and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, and I also didn't really have the motivation after that. But in light of recent events regarding constructive criticism within the fan base, I got the motivation to do this episode, and so here we go. And to help me with my streams is my friend and comrade, RJ Bansma. Give him a hand, everybody.
Thank you. And let me remind you all, I did tell Scott about the service we're using currently, StreamYards, which is basically an alternative to Hangouts on Air.
That's right. And we're glad to have you right here on the show, RJ. How's it feel to be on Thoughts on Thomas again?
Same old, same old.
Well, that's cool. But in any case, I was just about to tell my viewers about this important topic, the problem with constructive criticism within this Thomas fan base.
Oh, yes. And how to not take it.
And how to take it, of course. But yeah, I just want to start off by saying that it is amazing the people that and I'm happy that there are people in this community that can take it and have gotten better because of it. I mean, take Shunter Productions, for example. I mean, he's been doing this for over a decade now. And yeah, I will admit that his early videos weren't all that great. But then again, he didn't really. And
I mean, back then,
all the tools that we've got now. I mean, nobody did really.
I mean, with the dated video editors we had at the time,
and the models by MSTS Noodle.
Mm-hmm. I mean, back then, UK Branch Lines was the only site to get Thomas content for trains.
And not a lot of people knew how to model,
especially with Blender, but not too many people knew about it at the time.
Mm-hmm. But to give Shunter Productions credit, over the years he has gotten better, either because as some people have seen the problems within his videos, or maybe because he's seen those problems. I don't know, but either way, he's grown to become actually one of my all-time favorite users within the Thomas community,
and one of our closest friends within our own series, of course.
Exactly. I mean, and I'm honored to now be a part of his series and help him develop his stories, which I've been doing lately. And I couldn't be happier because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then we've got the bad apples in this community. The ones that aren't like Shunter Productions or the Buried Truck or EE93. The ones that aren't able to take criticisms. The ones who respond to it like, I'd like to see you do better, or, oh, hey Liam, how's it going? It's going pretty well for me. But yeah, or don't tell me how to make my content, because you don't know how to do it, or you don't have the right to give other people criticism. And I'm like, dude, calm the fuck down, people.
Or I don't want to change the faces on my original character because I'm lazy.
Plenty of excuses like that. I mean, RJ and I have known people to be like that. And it just really disheartens me. And hey, Mason.
I mean, when you do that, it makes your original character look like an OC, not naming names.
and not a very good, like a lazy OC as well. Not even an original character, just a mishmash of existing characters, by the way.
Mary Sue.
Yes, exactly. Because yeah, if you're gonna be making an original character, for example, you've got to give them some sort of personality. You got to give them character flaws, because that's what makes a character interesting, and that's what drives conflict.
As
You
well,
also want to give them some good traits as well, something that
and
makes them stand out.
even a good livery, and hell, give them their own faces to make them stand out from the crowd.
Exactly. And I've also, I mean, and RJ and I are not the only ones who have seen these unoriginal reskins. No offense to you guys, but that's the truth. But I've seen people, other people bash those reskins to hell. I mean, true, they could have been a bit more constructive with their opinions about it.
Criticism.
Exactly. But the people making those oaths on the receiving end of that criticism, dude, I think they could have handled it a lot better, don't you think?
Oh yeah.
I mean, sure, I've been known to rely on putting faces on existing models, but at least I try to make them look like their own characters.
And at least accurate to the history that they were in.
Bingo. And if I do use them, well, I don't use them for very long. Besides, I have I have made my own and I have modeled my own original characters and RJ's, of course.
Well, both are original characters, but
Exactly, both of our original characters, and we do try, hey, to give them personalities and make them as three-dimensional as we can.
I mean, take these semi-original characters. Take the semi-original characters we decided to use, like Rachel and Roderick. I mean, they didn't even have names when they first appeared in the Railway series, and we tried our best to give them personalities, proper names, and base them off actual steam locomotives. And yes, with a Northwestern Railway twist.
Exactly, and take Shunter Productions' Nigel, for example. One of my favorite OCs in the Thomas community. Actually, by far my favorite. What works is that he was. What made him such a great character was that he he has a backstory, a rather tragic one, and he's been through his own unique trials and tribulations to get to where he is today. And he has a person, and his personality is, and he has a personality that stems from that.
I mean, not to mention some of these original characters that me, Scott, or anyone else in the series have created, well, for their own series or our own, are based off engines that don't even exist anymore.
Well, that's
Some
true.
of them.
But the main thing is, a lot of these people, they put their hearts and souls into them, and we want to see people do that with their own with their own work, and
Y-
and
And
better
be creative.
exactly. I mean, I mean, we don't say what we say about them because we're trying to be assholes. We're trying to help these people, and that's why I mean, I've been no, I mean, I've been known to criticize certain people's work, and for good reason too. I'm critical because I care, and well, I don't think enough people will. And I don't think we have enough people who criticizing people's work in that kind of vein. I don't know if it's because they don't see any of those problems that other people see, or they're just too, or they do see them, but they're too afraid to say it, and in case they hurt that creator's feelings. But like, if you have a problem with if you don't like a certain work or you see problems with them, say it. I mean, don't be a dick about it. I've learned that the hard way. But if you don't say anything about it, they won't know. They won't be able to figure it out. They might not be able to figure it out themselves, and they won't grow because of it.
I mean, take me, for example. It took me a while to get used to Rachel's, well, rebuild with her firebox.
And yes, I have rebuilt Rachel, as some of you have seen.
To look more like a, well, Raven A2 instead of just a rebuilt version, which, there were some issues the A2s had, but at least Scott tried it. And heck, I like the rebuild now. I mean, I don't mind it, but it's doable.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to write a backstory how she and the rest of the class got improvements, still in the works, but we're going to try to at least make it work.
We are?
Well, yeah.
All right, but getting back on topic here, that's also one of the reasons that that when I'm writing something, I turn to other people for help, because I want my work to be, I want it to be the best it can be.
And be critical. I mean, critiqued.
Exactly.
Like when creators show off their videos to their patrons before they get uploaded to YouTube.
Exactly, so that they can give that they can get the feedback that they need. I mean,
And
why do you think people? Why do you think certain movie company bring in test audiences?
Which has been done for years, well, decades at this point.
Exactly. But yeah, if you can seek out second opinions from other people before you share it with the public, then your work is going to be much better. And no, stubbornness is not going to help you. Just putting it out there.
Especially if the idea needs work.
Exactly. But it's not just the smaller users that are guilty of handling criticism poorly. I've seen like this is a problem with bigger users too, more popular ones over the years.
Oh yeah, I mean, take for instance, a number of years ago when the Thomas Creator Collective released what was essentially a remake of Gordon Takes a Tumble, and the two head writers at the time, not Shudder Productions, Diesel D199 and
Sidekick Jason, but I think Sidekick Jason was, I think he was I don't know if he was the only one but who wrote it, but I know that the two of them handled it very poorly.
Oh yeah, I mean
things like I'd like to see you do better, or I didn't come here to be criticized. And I'm like, buddy, when you release something onto the internet, you're automatically opening up yourself to criticism. And I'm just paraphrasing someone that actually told them that. But I agree with that person. I agree with them wholeheartedly.
I mean, once you upload something to YouTube, it's going to be critiqued whether you like it or not.
Exactly. And hello, Jonathan, and Trainsmania, and FoxyFan55. How's it all going? I mean, and when Soda Island 3D tells you that the way you're behaving is wrong, then we got some problems.
Or Soda Island fan site.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, exactly. Soda Island fan site. They were the ones that called them out for their behavior. I don't know if Sidekick Jason and Diesel D1 or or Diesel D199 were just defending Mattel, or they just were really bad with criticism. But needless to say, if I were working for Mattel, especially on the Thomas Creative Collective, I would never handle criticism that way, ever.
I mean,
I would pass on that. I'd be like, thank you for the advice, something like that.
I mean, we see it far too much from this generation already, enough as it is, and
From small users and big users alike.
I mean, come on, people. Criticism is it's not the end of the world, and if you disagree with them, that's perfectly fine.
Exactly. And I've seen Diesel D199's work outside of the Tom's Creators Collective, as I'm sure, and in fact, a lot of people have. That's how he became the part of that series. He's a talented guy. He knows how to write good stories and good jokes, but
and do awesome animation work.
Exactly. But if that's how you're gonna behave towards criticism, then buddy, I don't know. That how would you put it, RJ?
Well, just don't be a complete jackass about it. I mean, for me, for instance, there are some times where I can't take criticism and I just overreact to like I'm like I'm having a meltdown. But after a brief moment of time, I start to think about it and I move on.
Exactly. And that's what I think more people ought to be doing. Not playing the victim card and blaming the critics for being assholes. And I have seen that happen, and I've had that happen to me before. Let me tell you, it is not pleasant. In fact, that kind of behavior, it makes my blood boil.
I mean, we've seen this behavior for a number of years ever since we started the series with some people, and just guys, if someone calls you out for doing something stupid, acknowledge it, learn from it, and move on.
And this wasn't the only famous incident that's it's been like this. I don't know if any of you guys remember that Wooden Railway remake of Journey Beyond Sodor, titled just that and How It Should Be. But when that came out, reviews for it were very divisive among those that have seen it. I mean, I've not seen it, but besides all the positive reviews it also got quite a ton of negative reviews. And even though I haven't seen it, I think they make some valid points about it.
Such as
the problem though is that when those critics left those negative thoughts about it, the people that have seen it that liked it, they went batshit crazy and started bashing those critics. It was a fucking dumpster fire, let me tell you.
I mean,
the funny thing is,
go on.
The people that were bashing the critics were not the creators themselves. In fact, the people that were involved in actually making the Journey Beyond Sodor How It Should Be project, they stayed silent about it throughout the whole thing. But the people that have seen it, the way they acted towards that criticism, that's not how you do it. Listen to what the critics have to say. I mean, If you don't agree with them, that's fine. Just don't just don't fucking bash them, okay? We don't like that.
I mean, it's as pretty much it was as divisive as well politics, which please people, we already get enough of that there. Just not in the comment section of a Thomas video. Well, over just simply someone else. What we're
Or
trying to say is what we're
or any
trying
or
what
any
I'm trying to say is don't try to start a dumpster fire when towards a critic when they have obvious criticism.
Exactly. You're just because if you do that, it's called being a white knight. You're just encouraging the creators not to improve.
You're
To
basically
be honest, I don't know
you're
which is
basically
worse.
it's basically the motivation for the creator itself.
Exactly. I don't know if I don't know which is worse. The white knights encouraging the creators not to improve, or the creator just not taking criticism well.
I mean, it's been happening on both sides, and I mean, when I watch a remake or just simply an original story, half the time I just don't comment.
Well, I think if you have a problem, that I think, like I said, I think you should make your opinions known. Don't let at the thought of people bashing you about it. Uh, don't let them stop you. If you have some,
If
that
you
goes
have
for
some,
you, RJ. If you have something to say it.
I mean, for instance, there was actually an original story that I had watched made by Brighton Terrier, even though it's a couple of years old. There was a slight error in the story where Duck didn't like good strains, but there's not really any information that Duck never liked good strains. It just spontaneously happened,
Mm-hmm.
and it should have been written a little bit better on why he didn't like good strains. Give it at least just create a reason that's logical. I mean, don't bring up something out of air and just say, well, without evidence, because it doesn't make you look good.
Exactly.
I mean, we've seen this one too many times in the actual show itself.
And speaking of the TV series, it's like people in this fandom, they'll stay they'll happily rip apart an official episode if they don't like it. But if they're willing to do that, then why aren't they willing to do the same thing for fan projects if they don't like it? I just don't get it.
Oh, and Trombone, I clearly agree with you. Because a lot of these people, whether you guys like it or not, even if you have a disability like autism, it's not a cover up for criticism. And I do apologize for interrupting you.
That's okay. I think I was finished my sentence anyway.
But to add on your point about the TV series, yeah, I just don't agree with it much anymore because when you infuse politics into a kids show that's obviously made for toddlers, it is not a good idea. It is not. Kids at that age, they're not into it. And they're not old enough to understand what politics are. That's the unfortunate truth. And if you guys, some of you might not be able to see it, but clearly we can with Big World, Big Adventures, which I hate to say it, people, and you might all disagree with me. Big World, Big Adventures for me, it was just it was just a bad idea. Period.
Say you can say that again.
I mean, pretty soon, if it continues on, the show might end up getting canceled, and that's just their own faults.
And to be fair, big world, big adventures from what I've seen. It has way more problems than just identity politics.
I mean, it's getting to the point where the good days where we're back into it's it's almost like we're on the second coming of what happened back with season 13. I mean, seasons 13 through 16 had a lot of issues. But I don't think the current crew has learned from that, and I think Sharon Miller should have brought that up since she still works for the show.
Well, that wasn't. Well, that was forced upon. That's forced upon by Mattel because I think they're more hands-on with the show, even though they shouldn't be. But let's keep. But enough about that. Let's keep on topic here. But yeah, the point. But yeah, the points that RJ and I are bringing up here is like the criticism problem. It goes both ways. But yeah, if you have a problem with something, say it, and let them know. As long as you're not a dick about it, and if you're on the receiving end of criticism, take it into consideration. People, don't be a fucking asshole about it. You gotta show some professionalism there. I mean, yeah, you don't have to agree with every single problem that they see if you don't, and you don't have to make these changes. But if you want to continue to
working on your series stories.
Yeah. If you want your projects to improve, and if you want your channel to grow, and I certainly want that for you guys, then you gotta take your viewers' advice into account. You gotta use it as guidance. And I know that, and I know from experience. I have friends who know from experience. If you guys are willing to do that, and if more people are willing to actually share their concerns if they have it, think about how many more people like Shunter Productions or the Barry Truck or EE93 or Carson that we're gonna get. We'll not only get better content, but in greater quantities too.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be amazing. Not that it already isn't anyways, but yeah, if you can do that, it'll be
a slam dunk.
Exactly. It'll be helpful for you too, not just as content creators, but in life, especially if you're entering the workforce or getting a job. You want to be listening to advice from you, not just from your superiors, but your coworkers as well, because you'll be getting paid to do whatever you're doing.
Exactly. I mean, look at me. I mean, pretty much later this year, I'm going to have to be, sometime this year, well, in the next few months, I'm going to start creating content again on a regular basis with Race Gear and Top Gear R Factor, which those two shows are in this same canon. And if you guys don't know how hard it is to work on this canon after 10 years, good golly o'Malley.
But I'm pretty sure a lot of them do understand. But yeah, and if you guys have any ideas, do throw them his way, because hi, Fairly Odd Engine, how's it going? And Shunting Yard Studios, it's going all right, thank you. But yeah, that's all I can say about it, really. So yeah, if you guys are able to take our words into consideration, you'll become much better for it.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, you'll just become major assholes.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it, you can become a better person, or you can become a total arrogant asshole about it. It's your choice.
Oh, and I do have a quick announcement. Speaking of script writing and story ideas, I do plan on, in the future, hosting a stream right here on YouTube. Well, via StreamYards via YouTube, about potential story ideas for for Roderick's USA trips. Well, double USA trips between the 1950s and the 1980s. Last time we had this, I said 60s, but that was a slight error on my part. Well, late 50s, the early 60s. But this will pretty much involve several American engines and several American lines. And if you guys have any ideas for for Roderick's stories, for during those two time periods, feel free to let me know and give me at least as much research on those engines and railways as you can, because that will help in the long run of those particular stories.
Even some unique incidents, if you can think of any.
I mean, I'm planning on having these as, pretty much those two time periods being, large specials.
Large specials, eh?
Oh yeah. But, each story is ran as a chapter
Okay,
of a
I'll make it.
much large,
That'll make it easier to manage.
Oh yeah.
So, anyways, it was great having you here, It was great having you here again, RJ. This was a pleasure.
No problem. Thank you for having me on.
Anytime, bands, man. And as for all you people watching, I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I hope our words have been helpful to you. Peace out, guys.
See ya.